next up, we're going to hear from an AARP Community Challenge grantee that completed a quick action grant project and subsequently received US DOT funding to reconnect their community. So with that, we're excited to talk a little bit about the Community Challenge, which was established in 2017, and it's AARP's annual program that provides quick action grants that help make communities more livable for people of all ages. More than $20 million have been awarded to 1,700 grants that are making streets safer, creating more choices in housing, sprucing up parks and public places, and so much more. Our next speaker is one such AARP Challenge grantee. John Chin is the Executive Director of the Philadelphia Chinatown Development Corporation, where he oversees all projects and programs. John led the Philadelphia Chinatown Development Corporation's Community Challenge grants in 2022 and 2017, so he's got multiple years here. We're so excited to have you join us live from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, for an interview about your challenge project. Thanks for being here, John.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
Awesome. Well, I have a couple questions for you here to learn a little bit more about your project. So to start us off, could you tell us why the Philadelphia Chinatown Development Corporation decided to apply for an AARP Community Challenge grant in 2022? What was the challenge that your community wanted to solve?
Well, we applied for the grant because we have a highway called the Vine Street Expressway, which is I-676. And we were in the throes of planning to create a lid to cover the expressway and reconnect the Chinatown community. One of our challenges that we had is how do we best engage our community that has a significant population of older adults, right? We have cultural barriers and we have language barriers. And with the existing infrastructure and resources from the City of Philadelphia's Transportation Infrastructure Department, those resources were not enough to help us achieve the kind of input and policy direction that we sought from our own community. So lo and behold, the AARP Challenge Grant was a perfect resource for us to help us achieve our goals.
That's fantastic, John. And now looking at the project, and you kind of mentioned some of this, our data shows that Philadelphia's Chinatown is comprised of a large population of older adult residents. Now, how have you built relationships with these residents and encouraged them to reimagine their community to be more livable? And how has that affected the community's plans to reconnect the neighborhood moving forward?
Yeah, our agency, Philadelphia Chinatown Development Corporation, has been around for 58 years now. We provide social services, we build affordable housing, of which many of our senior citizens and older adults live in Chinatown. So we feel we have a pretty strong connection to the community that we serve. But with a project like a highway recapping project, this idea of covering the highway was really a new idea that people didn't quite get the concept of. They didn't have the jargon to sort of convey their thoughts and ideas about a highway project. And so what we did is, as a trusted community-based organization in this community, we use that asset, we use that resource of trust to engage folks in our community and to solicit ideas that would help us inform the concept design of our project. And that's what we did. It always begins with a relationship in the community and trust. And because we provided services to residents in this neighborhood, we had a baseline and foundation for trust. And we use that as our leverage to sort of engage thought and ideas from our target population.
That's so important, John. I think that building that trust and connecting with people, and we're so impressed by your organization's work and how you were able to tackle this daunting challenge. I want to underscore this, a highway that has physically divided neighborhoods for almost half a century. You've been able to do it piece by piece to find a solution to reconnect these communities. Now, we've heard you mention the Chinatown Stitch. Would you be able to share more details about the concept and what were some of the other results, maybe unintended, of this project?
Yeah. So I was listening to the Principal Deputy Assistant Secretary Zimmerman talk, and it was as if she helped put our playbook together on this Chinatown Stitch project design, because a lot of the things that I took notes on listening to her are the tools and best practices that we use for the development of the Chinatown Stitch design. What is it? Well, we talked about the I-676 cutting through Chinatown, and the Chinatown Stitch project is actually a capping project that would put a cover over the highway that is sunken below our community and cuts right through it. And this cover would actually reconnect the south side and the north side of the Chinatown community. But more importantly, as part of this project, it actually has lane reductions on the street level side. So look at I-676 as a 12-lane highway, of which 7 lanes are at street level and 5 lanes are sunken below ground. So this project also reduces this boulevard effect for Chinatown. Looks to insert bike lanes, green space, and other community amenities that residents of Chinatown are asking for. How we got here was not only are we developers of affordable housing, but we're also urban planners. And we got here to the Chinatown Stitch through at least over 20 years of just re-emphasizing. So I think the secretary said patience and impatience, right? So for 20 years, we were developing plans, concepts, and ideas for the Chinatown Stitch. We were being patient, and the impatience started getting some steam as there were opportunities opening up at USDOT to apply for some funding and resources to do further in-depth planning. And we're here in 2024 with the exciting announcement that we got from USDOT in March of this year, $158 million construction grant.
Well, John, that's just really a fantastic story of, using that patience, building up the impatience, and getting things done and partnering with DOT. And that's kind of where my next question is going. I think we always love to hear the story of impact, of how challenge grant projects can help jumpstart long-term change. And part of that is securing additional funding and partners. Can you share a little bit more about what you mentioned and how this project and the partnership with the city of Philadelphia has led to that federal funding from DOT?
Yeah, things as complicated as USDOT has to happen in partnership. There's no other organization that knows the vision, needs, and opportunities that this neighborhood seeks. And there's no other organization at the city level than the Office of Transportation Infrastructure and Sustainability that knows how to implement modern day safe transportation modes, right? So the USDOT of 50 years ago created this crisis and problem for the neighborhood. And we heard from Deputy Assistant Secretary Zimmerman, today's USDOT is trying to repair those damages that were done. So locally, our partnership has been fantastic. It sort of takes two very distinct and different organizations a lot of time. If we were to call it it was a 6-month dating process, right? They understand how to repair transportation harm. We understand what our community needs to repair and reconnect our community. So we brought two very different disciplines together to work on this project. So we worked together to successfully apply for the funding from USDOT for the planning grant, and we worked together to apply for the actual construction grant. But one of the things that AARP's challenge grant allowed us to do is that during the concept development process, we noticed that the surveys that we sent out there, we weren't hearing from the voices that really mattered to this project. That was the native Chinese speaker living in this neighborhood. That was the older adults. So through our expertise and working with the survey consultants, we developed instruments that would engage our community. And because of the grant, we actually brought in 800 additional surveys from native Chinese speakers who responded in native Chinese.
John, I want to thank you so much for sharing all of this work, sharing the impact, sharing the story that you and your partners have done over the last 20 years. And just want to thank you again for joining us today and being here with us to tell that story and talk about how you're improving Chinatown's neighborhoods in Philadelphia for people of all ages. So John, thank you again so much for joining us and being here with us.
Glad to be here. Thank you.
Thank you and best of luck.